All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Franchise This. It's the show about franchises. I'm your host, Sean McKay, and today we're talking to Daniel Feltman of the Garage Floor Company. Let's dive right in. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Doing good, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. I gotta say, you're the first thing I noticed is you are well prepared. You got a better mic than I got. You got the cool chair. Uh, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. So this is not your first podcast, I see.
No, I've been on a few of them. Yeah,
That's
it's not my
cool.
first rodeo.
Yeah, well, you have an interesting story, so I'm not surprised. Speaking of which, I kind of want to jump right into it. If I'm understanding correctly, you were a state trooper.
That's correct. Yeah,
Tell me about the switch from that state trooper to businessman. Tell me all about it.
yeah, that's something that most people probably don't think that they would ever do going into it. But right out of college, I got right onto the state police. Didn't know what the heck I even wanted to do in life. My dad had said, "Hey, why don't you be in law enforcement? The rest of your family is." So that's where I started my adventure. Did that for 13 years. Guarded three
Wow.
different governors during my tenure. The biggest thing though is I always knew I wanted to do something else, really be in control and own my own business,
Yeah.
and that was always my aspiration. So one day I just said, I've had it. Like, let's go. Let's figure it out. And just jumped right into it.
Did guarding governors and VIPs, and I'm sure the conversations are more professional in those situations, but you get to know these people, right? You're with them pretty regularly. Did that influence you at all? Like to see a different type of person and see how they live their life? Did that influence you to switch careers at all? Or
I don't know if it necessarily made me switch the careers, but it definitely had an influence on me wanting to strive to be better, I think. So
yeah,
be a better person and get out there and seeing the way they live. Yeah, I mean, we lived their life for that 13 years. You're with them 24 hours a day and seeing how they live and things like that. It just made you really feel like, wow, like maybe there is more to life than just a job, at the end of the
yeah.
day.
I gotta say though, my uncle, he's actually my fake uncle, but I call him my uncle. He's a state trooper in New York, and man, I was always scared of this man. He's a great guy, wonderful guy, but I would never cross him. I remember one time I got pulled over, and I had the state trooper sticker, and they were like, "Oh yeah, where'd you get that?" I was like, "My uncle." They're like, "What's his name?" I'm like, "I'd rather not tell you." But they're like, "Well, I could call him and see." And I'm like, "Please don't."
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather take the ticket, buddy.
Right.
but
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. I
man.
had a lot of friends that they would always say, "Hey, can I use your name to get out of a ticket?" I'm like, honestly, it's probably going to be worse. You're probably going to get a ticket if you use my name. So be careful with that.
They'll be like, "Oh, that guy." Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. Okay, so you had this background in law enforcement and following around the governor all day long, but how does this translate to owning and operating a local garage floor company? Tell me about that transition.
Yeah, so one day I just got really bored. I always knew I wanted to own a franchise. Like if I went into business, I was
Really?
going to buy a franchise. That's what I always aspired to. So I had looked for years, and one day I was sitting down with the governor. It was a hurry up and wait type thing, and we waited a lot. And so I was just surfing on the internet, like franchises. And I'm like, what do I like to do? And I love hanging out in my garage. That's like my number one thing. And I started looking for garage franchises, and I came across one that did what we do, got really heavily deep into the process, went through the FDD, and my business partner was actually on that FDD. So I reached out to everybody calling them. Why should I not go with this company? Why should I go with them? What's good? And my business partner, who had exited, which I didn't even know at that time, he said, "Listen, it's awful. Don't go with this company. It's
He was
bad."
still on the FDD at the time.
Still on the FDD, the
Mm.
referral list. And so I was just like, okay, cool. I was like, and we hit it off from the very beginning. And we just formed a partnership and a relationship. And he's like, I'll teach you everything. Just work underneath my name. So I flew out to Nebraska, met him, learned
Wow.
how to do it, did it part time while I was a state trooper for like 5 or 6 years.
Oh
And
my gosh.
then we ended up test marketing the Indy area and said, will this be viable for something to be a franchise? Because we wanted to help other people. He comes from a firefighter background. I'm a state
Oh, cool.
trooper. We love helping people. And that's just in our DNA. Like you just can't get rid of it. And to have other people see this and have that freedom for family, for financial freedom, whatever they're looking for, that's what we wanted to help do. And so we ended up saying, hey, let's franchise it so we can help other people. So that's what we ended up getting into, long story short.
That's so cool, man. I gotta imagine though, when you were just starting off, flying in between, also being a state trooper, that freedom wasn't really there yet, right? You had to earn that freedom. It takes years.
Yeah, it really does. And in any business that you're going to go into, like, it takes a lot of work and effort and sacrifice. But I knew at the end result, my main goal was I need more time with my family. I was starting to have a family, starting to have kids. They're starting to, walk and talk and have their first birthdays. And I didn't want to miss those.
Yeah,
So that was my number one goal. Like, hey, let's strive and strive hard in the beginning, because in the end, it's going to be better.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Really cool. And and now that's something you can give to your franchisees is a quicker path to that freedom. And I think it's a mistake for any franchise to promote or market that they are designed for an absentee owner, because I think none of them really, truly 100% are. But But ultimately, the promise, I think, in some way, is that if you own a franchise, that you'll be able to get to some form of freedom, whether it's financial or time, quicker than doing it on your own. And you spent years and years cooking this up. So
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's the number one goal, right? Is to get to that a lot faster. And that's what everybody's looking for. They're
yeah,
looking for financial freedom or whatever freedom they're looking for. They're looking for something. And that, as a franchise, that's the number one goal is focus in on that franchisee and make them more successful from day one.
right on. Okay. I mean, it's called the Garage Floor Company. I think I know what you do, but spell it out for me in black and white.
Yeah, so we do residential and commercial epoxy coatings, and then we do like floor polishing, anything with concrete that's a coating, we're going to do on your floor. We also do storage solutions, so it's a whole complete garage transformation. About 80% mostly residential. We do some light commercial and things like that down the road, but it's at the end of the day, it's epoxy coatings and then polyaspartic coatings as well.
It seems like you've been spying on my TikTok feed, because all I see these days are epoxy coating on garage floors and what's the other, carpet cleaning. Those carpet videos where they squeegee out all the dirt.
Yeah.
Those are the two the things I ever get. But yeah, this is TikTokable content. Do you guys record stuff? You record your jobs and post stuff like that?
So I am really bad at social media. So for me to record it is awful.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to get better at it. But yeah, there's so much stuff out there that the guys do record and take pictures and things like that. But yeah, you don't want me doing it.
Attention to tech savvy, social media savvy potential franchisees. This is your opportunity to blow it up.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
That's cool. All
Yeah.
right. Going through the process of making a franchise is not hard. Everyone I talk to talks about the legal complications, the tax complications, all the pitfalls. But what would you say was the biggest challenge that you've had during the process?
Oh, wow. So I guess finding the right people from the beginning was our biggest challenge. We hired the wrong lawyer. We lost a lot of money, a lot of time. We hired the wrong FSOs, which
Uh,
basically franchise sales organizations from the beginning. We wasted a lot of time and money, and we just weren't with the right people.
mm,
Not knowing what, we know now, but, really just trying to get out there to network to find the right people is key. And once we found our lawyer, which is Inter Nicola, they're amazing. They're in the franchise industry. They focus in on that, finding people that are designated for that specific thing that you're looking for. I think that was key. And we just kind of were shooting at the hip from the beginning. So thinking we knew
yeah.
everything, and obviously we had no clue.
I have so much complication to it's that Dunning-Kruger effect, I think they call it. Yeah, when you're in the beginning of something, you're feeling really hot about it. You're like, yeah, I got this. And then you're like, oh, shoot, I don't know anything about anything.
Yep,
Uh,
exactly.
so, a lot of people say what you just said. I'm curious, how did you know that you got the right one?
So we hired them to do some trademark work for us. And then from there, they invited us out to one of their conferences that they were just beginning. And I think a big thing is in any business or anything that you're doing in life is about relationships. And once we met them, we just knew as an instant,
You had a good
we're
connection.
in the right spot. They know what they're talking about. They showed us everything. They actually cared about us. And to find a lawyer that's not going to sit there and be like, oh, by the way, I need $100 per hour for me to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, they were just so open about everything and honest. And we just felt so genuine. But it was that connection. I think once we met them, we just knew we were in the right spot.
I think you're right. Yeah. A lot of the times when I meet with an attorney or talk to an attorney, it feels transactional. And so to have someone who actually seems like they care about you probably is a big deal. Yeah. You said something else really important, I think, too, is that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. And you said You felt like you had to be involved in every step and do everything yourself. How'd that mindset shift for you? Like, when did that happen? What was kind of the last straw when you were like, you know what, I need to trust other people or bring professionals in?
Yeah. So, I mean, after we had failed at pretty much everything that we tried to do, and literally we made every mistake out there, I started listening to different podcasts, something like this, going on there and just listening to other people, finding the success because success leaves clues, finding mentors,
Oh,
finding,
I like that.
they really put me in the right spot to say, hey, listen, like, you got to stop. You're the problem.
Huh.
Once they told me that, that's when I'm like, wow, like I looked in the mirror and I'm like, you're right. Like, I do know, maybe I do know a lot and I'm decent at it, but I'm not the best. And there's
Yeah.
other people that can do it, and you got to trust that they can do it, and they're going to make mistakes just like you're going to make mistakes. And it's part of the evolution that you're going to have as a business. And so that's where I stepped back, and my mentors really dove into me. My coaches said, stop, and that's kind of
Stop
where
it.
I got the light bulb clicked on. And I'm like, okay, you're right.
For me, I went through the same thing. And I think for me, it was like a shift in ego. I know it sounds bad, but when I first started, I wanted to be the guy who was good at stuff. I want to be good at this or this skill, this tactic. But I think eventually I just got to the point where I don't care, like whether people see me as personally good at it, as long as they see my business is good at it. If the rest of my people get all the credit, like I'm copacetic because I'm not the best and I know it. But I think, there was a long period of time where I just wanted to be seen as the best. When you first starting off, I think things get twisted. Like
Yeah,
your motivation for what you're doing is maybe different than where you end up.
absolutely.
All right. Well, when it comes to mistakes made, it's similar to I guess your challenges with legal fees and stuff. But is there a common pitfall that you think people could skip, or that you advice you would give, like beyond obviously finding the right lawyer? Is there some step that you think, oh, don't miss this, or hey, do skip this, maybe contrary to other advice that you've heard out there?
Yeah, so the biggest one that we thought is buying like an all-in-one Encompass type organization and going in and thinking that they could do it all. So we hired other different people, and the first one we hired, they made our operations manual, did a great job with it. But they're like, hey, we got the right lawyers too, and we can put you in this. And so it was an all-in-one thing that just didn't work out. So that's where we ended up failing in the very beginning, is we just went along with that, and that was awful. It was just a bad experience, a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted money. And in listening to other people saying that they could do it without doing our research on it. So I think buying one of those all encompass things is bad. You
Yeah.
just got to find the right group of people. And for us, it honestly, it started with that lawyer. And then they put us in there like, this is the professional in this area. This is the professional in this area. Cause you can't do everything. There's just no
No.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't do it good if they promise that they do it all. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's wise. It obviously takes a lot more money to go about this the right way, but I think the advice that I've heard other people share and that I would agree with is that if you can't do it the right way, this business of franchising is not worth it. It's not worth doing it half-assed. It's not worth, you're not going to get anywhere. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but it sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of people say if you can't afford to franchise, you shouldn't do it because it takes a lot of money and a lot of
Mhm.
time. And if you can't financially do it, like that's where it first starts out at. And you got to
Yeah.
make sure that you're financially set, because once you start getting franchisees, you want to be able to support them. And if you don't have the money or the infrastructure built in place, you can't support them. And that's the number one thing. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that in franchising. All they care about is the next sale, and it really is the support. And by support, I don't mean like, different things. It's making them successful. That's what I consider support, not just taking a call and helping them work through a job. It's how do I make you successful to get to that next level, and then how do I make your employees as well successful to get to their next level. That's the number one thing in franchising.
Yeah, and that goes back to your work in public service and your partner's work as a fireman. It's like you guys, that's you were born to do that, like take care of people. Yeah, there's a passion there for helping other people. So I think I think that's really cool. It goes a long way, and you're right. That I think the core of every franchise business is it's a service business. You're ultimately helping your franchisees, and so like, let's talk about that a little bit more too. I think you had mentioned to me about fees and the fees that the franchisees pay, and how they get used in the industry in general. Like I think other franchisors might take those fees and just pocket them, but you were telling me about growth, right?
Yep. So the royalty fees, and I had put a post out there because I get that question quite a bit. It's what do I get for that royalty fee? And it really is, if you're paying a franchise to be, because you want to be successful, you're paying them to keep the doors open at the end
Right.
of the day. You're not making a ton of money on this. That's not the whole point. The point is to make them successful, and you're paying people to stay involved to help them grow so you can grow as well. So the more obviously money that you pay in royalties, obviously the better, because you're making sure that you're successful because your franchisor is successful as well. So if they don't make money, then you're sure not going to be getting the support to be successful. So that's, at the end of the day, that's really
Right.
what it is to help support you, to help you transform.
Yeah, everybody's got to get paid for their time. Yeah, you're not doing it completely for public service. So, yeah, I think it'd be a red flag if there is a franchise without a royalty or franchise fee or something, because then what are you getting for it?
We, in our industry for the coatings, like there are so many out there, and they're dealership models. But at the end of the day,
Oh,
what they're trying to do is they want you to buy their product, and
they're
that's
just
what
selling
they focus
product
in
with that.
on. And
Yeah.
it's just a sale and a transactional thing. And it's like, you can call us with support if you have questions. It's like, yeah, but how do you run a business? Isn't that the whole point? Like the whole point
Do
isn't
they
doing
call
the
them
job.
franchises?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
call them franchise. So how do you
Yeah.
differentiate in a world where like the a definition of franchise is skewed? That's not a
Yeah.
franchise in my book. That's just a dealership model.
Yep, exactly. And they consider themselves by our franchise, zero royalties, all
Wow.
the support. It's different, and we say the same thing. It's definitely a dealership model, but some way, shape, or form, they're getting around it and convincing these people to buy all their products at the end of the day. And the dealerships is what's really hurting the industry right now.
Wow, I never thought that they would be competing with a legitimate franchise because, yeah, I've always seen that as black and white. They're just selling product. I mean, you're like signing up as a distributor or as a retailer, basically, at that point.
Yep. Yeah.
So, when it comes to helping out franchisees, is there certain things that you tend to see as like the most common sticking points for people? I know, again, I've talked to other folks in the past, and franchisees come from all sorts of different backgrounds, many of them not business owners previously. So, like, how do you help people? What are the common pitfalls that you see from year Z's?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I think that we see, and we see a lot of different things that people come in. Obviously, they don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to do any of the behind the scenes work, basically, that it takes setting up QuickBooks or anything like that. They've never done running a CRM program. They don't even know what a CRM half the time is. I didn't.
Right.
I'll be honest, like I had no clue even what it even was. I'm like, you don't just keep track like on a piece of paper who your clients are and things, and how to basically all the behind the scenes work that people don't like to do. We see a lot of that. Doing the job, we can teach anybody to do the job, but it's focusing in on that business side of things is
Mm.
where a lot of people, they just have no clue what they're doing. And that's
Yeah.
where we try and help them out on that.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I started my business without any clear understanding of any of those things, yeah, back in 2011. So I get what you mean. Yeah, definitely learn on the job situation for me and you, but that's, yeah, something you could spare your franchisees of, that learning the hard way. So
Yes. Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. Does mindset play a role in your day-to-day conversations with franchisees?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just trying to keep a positive mindset and understand that you're going to have failures, you're going to have issues, and you're going to have problems. And those are definitely, honestly, in my opinion, they're a good thing,
Yeah.
because when you can have those and when you overcome them, become a better person. A lot of people, when they get pitfalls or anything like that, they tend to give up and they're like, I quit. It's too hard, and quitting is the worst thing you can do. Failure is not a bad thing. And I tell people, I'm like, you're going to fail. And even with us right there with you, you're going to fail. And it's okay because you're learning and you're growing. It's, if you give up, that's when you fail. Failure is part of winning. And so you need to fail so you can win. And so striving to get better and things like that's what we try and focus in on for our franchisees and telling them, keep that positive mindset. It's okay. There's always tomorrow. Get through today, and you're going to be just fine. You're growing. You don't see it because you're in it daily, but honestly, you're growing, and we see it, and we want to pass that on to you and let you know that.
That's awesome, Dan. I can't imagine what that would be like. The feeling to have somebody there to support you during the start of your business like that. I mean, you're probably making a huge impact for these franchisees by just being a support. Because most people start a business, they don't have anybody telling them that in their ear. When they have a bad day, they're feeling like a failure. They live with that and they suck it up and they move on, or they don't. And so I think that's a really big support that you're offering to franchisees for sure. One of the last questions I like to ask, to throw a little curveball in here, but is, if all of your content from the internet was erased, if everything about you, your business, your story, all that was erased from the internet, and the only thing left was the next 30 to 60 seconds, what would you say about business, franchising? What would you want to tell the world?
I think
Mhm.
I would try and focus in on it. It probably goes back to me wanting to help everybody else out there. Really, is I would probably tell them like everything's okay, especially in our world today. There's a lot of things going on politically or non-politically or anything like that. I would just say, listen, there's always tomorrow. Everything's going to be okay. Just continue to stay positive and strive through it. That's probably what my message would be for people. And it's just really just to focus in on to help other people out, because I think a lot of people struggle mentally. And I think that's
Yeah.
probably the biggest thing in business is the mental mindset.
The mental game is everything. And I think, going back to what you said before, the only real way to fail is to quit. I always am a firm believer of that. And everything along the way is just part of the journey. But yeah, like I said, man, when you're doing this on your own and you're dealing with those, tough customers, those tough jobs, those bad months where income's not looking so hot, the bills are piling up, whatever, it's tough when you're by yourself. But when you have the support of a franchise and a good franchisor behind you, like you, it's got to be a game changer for these people. So you're doing a good service, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that for
Yeah,
sure.
of course. I have one last question for you. Just as a tip, I like to end the show with a quick tip for anybody listening on the best and worst sources for you in terms of new franchise leads, like finding new people that are eager to join your business. Where do you go? Where do you turn to? Is it trade shows, Google, Facebook? What are you finding as the best sources of acquiring franchise leads?
Yeah. So what we normally use is we use the broker network right now. That's huge for us. But kind of backtracking on that, the best way to find the right franchisee is networking, is getting to know the right people. You can put a lot of Facebook ads out there, and I'm not saying that's bad or anything like that, but I think the network area, that's where you build relationships and you find the right people. With our company, we're a slow growth franchise because we're very meticulous on who we bring in. We don't want to just bring anybody in. And that's why we use that broker model, because we want to make sure that we're bringing in the correct people in our organization. And I think a lot of times, if we're spending a ton of money to get leads to bring new franchisees candidates in, is we get stressed out. Okay, I'm spending a ton of money, I'm not getting anything, and now I have
Right.
to start selling to anybody. So the reason we went with the broker route is because we don't have to spend the money until it's sold, but when they bring it in, we can say yes or no, and it's up to us at the end of the day, and we're not wasting money. And that's been huge for us, because then we can actually tell people, yeah, we want you to be partners with us. And I always tell, biggest thing for me is I don't sell anything. Like, we partner with people. Like, these are my partners. And even though they consider franchisee versus franchisor, they're 100%, they're right there with me. Like, we're equal, and we don't consider anybody not equal in our organization. We're
It's
all
cool.
growing together and learning. So we went with the broker network. It's worked for us. And I think, like, digitally and things like that, marketing strategies are very successful. And that's what we're getting ready to go to, so we can reach more people, because being able to
Right.
do that, you can actually get more people to see you. And you can still say no to them. Like, you don't have to, but I think, like, marketing is key, and there's everything works. It's just you got to fine tune it to your needs and things like that.
I'm 100% in agreement there for sure, Dan. Yeah, I think a lot of people, they get to a point where they have to say, like you said, say yes to any opportunity that comes knocking. And I think really it's a mistake to allow potentially bad people into your organization because you're feeling stressed about the money. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's key to start small, grow organically, build a network, get a good broker that's willing to rep your brand and push you to the right people. And then, and only then, when you're ready to just show more of the world what you guys have to offer, that's when you turn to marketing. But cool. Hey, Dan, thank you so much for joining me. This podcast will be available anywhere where you see podcasts. We'll be posting clips, of course, on LinkedIn. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Dan.
Thanks, Sean.
Take care.